hear the entire show and many others, visit www.puremomentum.net.
You look at who hires a lot of illegals: the hotel chains, the fast food outlets,
restaurants,
all of that. So, all right, if you would take McDonald's Corporation or Marriott or Hilton or something like that, and if you would make a raid on, let's say, 50 of their properties simultaneously, one in every state, and you take all the illegal aliens that you picked up, deport them, and then you go after their executive management and their board of directors and put them in jail and fine the company $10,000 apiece.
Wow.
And let's say you picked up 12,000 just from Marriott alone, 50 states. 12,000 times 10,000. What's that? That's a big number all of a sudden. That's what
it is. We could use that money to ship some of the rest of the illegals back.
Yes, we certainly could. But once you start doing that, once you start prosecuting those who hire them, suddenly they're not going to be as employable. The reason they get hired now is because there's no penalty for it. There's no penalty to breaking the law. Well, if you're not going to enforce those laws, then get rid of them. And let's have a free for all here. The way it's if that's going to be it, but while those laws are on the books and they're going unenforced, it just tells you how corrupted our system is. It tells you how much influence big corporations have in Washington D.C. and the little people, us, the ones who make up the mass of humanity that makes this country where it is. We have no influence, and so it's time to change that game. It's time for the people to really, like I said, become more vocal, more strident, more adamant in our demands. And our demands are, these people got to go home.
Right.
I'm real sorry that Mexico is a third world toilet, but if you don't like it, fix it.
Fix it. We don't want the United States of America to become a Mexican toilet. And that's what they're doing. They don't come over here and then try to adjust to our society. They want to bring their toilet to us. And we see it. I see it in the little towns around me.
Well, they absolutely do. And what I'm afraid of is that push is going to come to shove, and we're going to have massive civil unrest in this country. I fear that. I look at these gangs, like the MS-13 gang.
Right.
Do you know the history on them?
Some, not as much as you probably.
Well, MS-13, their leadership cast, these are, remember the Contras in El Salvador who were fighting against the Sandinistas in Nicaragua?
Yes.
The Contras were trained by the United States at the School of the Americas in Fort Benning, Georgia. And the Contras, after the war was over, became MS-13. And became part of the CIA's drug trafficking network.
Right.
Okay? And so whenever you see MS-13 anywhere, realize that it may look like a street gang, but it's really a paramilitary organization that their upper management has been trained in everything that Fort Benning teaches at the School of the Americas, including insurgency.
Right.
And so you have these people. Every town with over 25, 30,000 people in it has got a chapter of MS-13 in it. They are really one of the linchpins in the drug traffic. And whenever push comes to shove, they're going to be out killing white America.
That's right.
Wholesale. And the ones who are the most vulnerable are older people, 65 and up. They're the ones who are most vulnerable. We're going to lose that population. They're going to get wiped out if there's ever violence in this country. So.
Yeah, it's a shame. Well, at least we've still got our guns, and we post stories all the time of older people protecting themselves and protecting others because they do have firearms, legal firearms, concealed carry firearms, and they will. A lot of the elder people will fight back when they have the opportunity to do that. But of course, this MS-13 knows how to get people when they're vulnerable. And of course, that age is certainly vulnerable. Now, I heard this, I saw online that there was an article that says the United States pays Central American countries to take illegals back. Now, I'm all for that. I would pay them to take them back because whatever we pay is not what it's costing us.
Well, it's cheaper because you look at, what is it? I forget the percent. I think it's in the 70% of immigrant households in this country are on some form of welfare assistance.
Oh, I bet it's higher than that, Mike.
And so, you look at it and see they game the system. Mom goes down to the welfare office and says, I'm a single mom. I've got 8 bambinos,
right,
and no papa.
Right.
Well, meanwhile, Dad lives there, and he's out working a job, maybe 2 jobs or whatever. He's washing dishes by day, he paints at night. Who knows what he does? But he's bringing in income, and she's getting food stamps, getting Section 8 housing, getting cash support. Meanwhile, he's got a regular income he's bringing in.
Right.
And
so they're better off than middle class America.
They're much better off than middle class America because they have learned to game the system. They have no investment here.
That's right.
All they're here is to squeeze as much out of this culture, out of this situation as they can. And right now for them, it's the good times are rolling.
That's right.
But we need, and people out there, your listeners need to get involved in this, because anytime you go to a restaurant, or you go to a business, a hotel, and there's a large Hispanic-speaking population there, pull the manager aside and say, I'm not going to do business with you because you're not hiring Americans.
Right.
You hire Americans, I'll do business with you, but while you're hiring these illegal invaders here, I'm not going to do business with you. And you get up and you leave. So that needs to be done. And
yes.
We need to make these people feel unwelcome. See, the American people, white American people in particular, are extremely polite.
Yes.
They're always accommodating. If someone's having trouble, we offer to help them. We're just really polite. We've got to make them feel unwelcomed in this country. We've got to, and it could be just as simple as being rude. But it's hard for Americans to be rude. It's really hard.
Right.
We weren't raised that way.
That's right. That's right. But boy, they can sure be rude to us.
They are rude to us, and they're claiming territories within our neighborhoods, within our cities, and you better not go in their territory in our city.
That's
now,
right.
wait a minute. What's wrong with this?
Yeah.
There's just huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Mike, my brother's still down in Florida where we were reared, and he says that he's concerned that there's going to be some real trouble because when a girl that we grew up with works as a cashier at a grocery store down there, and she says, there's a guy, a middle-class American that's worked his butt off all day. He's hot and sticky, and he's standing in line to buy some food, and in front of him is an illegal alien with 8 kids and 1 in the oven, and they've got a card that they can get X amount of cash off of, which I did not know about. I had to look that up.
Oh yeah.
They can turn this food stamp money or whatever they've got into cash, and when you've got 8 or 10 or 12 kids, that ends up being a lot of cash. And so they buy steaks and they buy all this good food and all this, name brand stuff, while the guy that's working his butt off every day and is standing behind them sweating in his dirty clothes from working that day has had to work today to give them their money. There's going to be a fight at some point. And my brother said this happens every time. He doesn't even go to the grocery store anymore because he can't handle it. He said he can't deal with it. He used to go to county commissioner meetings. He said people act like they have no access to their brains. They do not think. He doesn't go to those anymore. He said, I get so mad they throw me out because he stands up and he says, why aren't you thinking? Why aren't you processing this information? This is impossible. This cannot work. And they just shut him up and they escort him out.
Well, they do that. It appears that white America has lost the right of free speech, particularly in public venues, when you become critical of your city council or your county commissioners or whatever else. And it's time not to take it anymore. And, the thuggishness of the police officers, I think we have a problem there too, but we'll discuss that a little bit later.
To hear the entire show and many others, visit www.PureMomentumNetwork.net.